Hey everyone, I'm Arlen Bento Jr. Welcome to the Shoot Par Now Golf Show here with my main man, James Stammer.
Hey.
And we're here to bring you our recap of the US Open. We're going to talk a little bit about Shoot Par Now, some of the programs we've got going on, and whatever else Jimmy's got up his sleeve. Going to pull out that magic hat, see what he's got. But before we get started, want to thank our sponsor, Rapsodo. They're a launch monitor company. This is their top of the line unit. It's like $800. It gives great data. It sets up right behind the hitting area. It's really easy to use. And if you're looking for a great launch monitor product, check out Rapsodo. I'll put a link in the description.
Maybe you didn't get a good Father's Day gift, and you
need to get one for yourself. Yeah, exactly. You can use my promo code. You get a deal, right? Yeah. And anyway, speaking of Father's Day, did you have a good Father's Day?
I had a good Father's Day.
How about you? I had a great Father's Day. Spent some time with my family. In the pool, grandkids came over. I got 2 grandsons that came to visit, so it was really awesome. And I just love watching the U.S. Open on Father's Day.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool tradition.
The Masters, I still think I prefer to watch. Mm-hmm. Just something about the pageantry of it. And I think it's just something that because I've been there and because I have a sense of it, I kind of dig it. And because the course isn't as crazy as the U.S. Open.
And you know all the holes. I mean, you kind of know what's...
You know what you're going to look at.
This shot coming
right. There's a lot more history, right? I enjoy that. But before we get into the U.S. Open, I want to say this. The U.S. Open is really, really hard. And we know, and Jimmy will tell you, we know how hard it is. But however, this is why I like it. One, it's the only tournament where if you're a good player and you go to a local qualifier and you shoot good, and you go to a regional qualifier and you shoot good, you play in the Open. There's no other major that you can get to.
British Open's that way,
but a little bit different.
You gotta fly across.
Right.
Halfway around the world.
And I don't think it's as easy. I think there's way more spots for the U.S. Open than the British, right? So again, those 2 Opens, that's why they have the word Open. But as far as I'm concerned, I thought it was fantastic. The course was brutal. The rough was brutal.
The rough especially.
The conditions were kind of ridiculous at points, but
to start the first round, first day was a little crazy.
Yeah, you said the balls are springing off middle of the greens and everybody's struggling. But what were you saying about the first day? You thought it was borderline. You thought it was going to be one of those where, oh my God, it's going to be terrible.
No, it's going to be 10 over par is going to win this thing. Because you had guys that hit shots that you're hitting a wedge into a green and you're watching it bounce as high as your head and go off the back of the green into that 5-6 inch rough.
Oh, the rough was unbelievably thick. Yeah.
So where's the reward for hitting it in the fairway and having a short iron in if that's what you're going to get?
Yeah.
That's the issue I have and I've had with the USGA for a long time. The rain that they got
totally changed the golf course.
Granted, they got way too much after a while.
Right.
But the little bit of rain they got on Friday really helped the golf course.
It did.
Everything lushed up a little bit. It made the rough tougher, but that's not where you're supposed to hit it.
It made the green softer.
But at least the greens held a little bit.
Yep.
And, instead of stimping it 15 to 16, they were still at like 14.9.
Were they that fast at the end, even with the moisture?
No, they weren't as bad.
They couldn't have been that fast.
Sunday, no.
So anyway, so JJ Spaun wins the U.S. Open, right? And
wins it.
And wins
it. Not somebody else lost it. And he happened to be there to inherit it.
He won it.
No, he won this thing.
And he hit 2 shots. It's funny because the drive on 17 where he drove the green, right, to me was the breaking point. When he did that, I was like, oh, this guy's going to win. And then when he rolls the putt in on the last hole, we'll get into that, unbelievable. That'll go down. That'll be played over and over and over again because it was such an incredible putt.
For me, it was about a 45, 50-foot putt he made on 12.
Oh, that putt was amazing too.
Because he shot 40 on the front 9.
40 on the front.
Was kind of out of it. He was still there, but he showed no signs of he's going to grab this thing or maybe have a chance.
Nobody was grabbing anything.
No, it was raining pretty hard. A lot of guys were struggling.
Well, it was an hour and 40-minute delay, right? Yeah. Too. They all got put in, and Spaun's story is amazing. So he has 5 bogeys on the front, right? Yeah. Shoots 40. Do you know when the last time a U.S. Open champion shot 40 on the front and won?
No.
Francis Ouimet.
Really?
I think it's 1912. Yeah, it's way back. It could have been even earlier.
It's a little ways back. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been over 100 years since since the U.S. Open champ shot 40.
Wow.
Ouimet did it, and that's a great story because it's the Disney movie, right? The greatest game ever played, right?
It's my favorite golf movie.
Actually, yeah, I think it might be mine too. Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And in fact, when they had the anniversary of that movie coming out, Shia LaBeouf actually called into my radio show. We talked about that a little bit, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, I never knew that. That's a great story. Yeah,
so that was pretty cool.
But that's how long it's been since someone shot 40. And the part about it with Spaun, which I thought was amazing, was that, he almost gave up golf. Like we were talking about, it was Ben Griffin, right? That almost gave up golf. He almost gave up golf. He mentally was really hard on himself. And they were telling all these stories about how he had to learn to persevere. They said he spent a lot of time with a new short game coach before the Open to help him with the rough and some of the shots he was going to hit, which looked like it paid off.
Yeah.
But the story of him, and he has won before. He almost won the Players, right? He lost in a
playoff to Rory McIlroy. Right. And in fact, he said going into the U.S. Open that
experience,
that playoff was the most nervous he's ever been.
Yeah.
And he said he hoped that knowing how to deal with it, he didn't deal with it that well that day. But having experienced that, he kind of knew how he was going to react and would have a better idea this week should he find himself in a position, and that's exactly where he found himself.
Oh, I think he did a great job.
He pulled it off.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And I went to look at his background and stuff, and he walked on San Diego State. He wasn't overly recruited. Became a really great player, All-American, Western Athletic Conference player, did really good. He's been playing golf for a long time, and they said that, I don't know, it was 2-3 years ago, whatever, he had just finished playing on what the equivalent of Canada's whatever under tour they call it, and he won like $800 or something, and he was like, this is enough. And then somehow he never gave up.
You're not buying too many groceries on it.
No, and then he got a wife and beautiful children. And I kind of liked that he was a dad, and when he finished, his wife was there and his 2 daughters were there, and he was saying how nice it was to have his kids on property to just kind of take the pressure off the U.S. Open, because how do you go home and, you got to relax when you have 2 little kids in front of you.
Yeah.
And he said he thought it really helped him. But, he's got a really nice, he got to have a great year. I wouldn't doubt if he wins again with the confidence, he has. But so coming down the stretch, right, before he hit those 2 miraculous shots, I kind of was hoping, I thought Adam Scott was going to make a run.
I really thought. I felt that way early in the day. Then the rain delay happened.
It just kind of fizzled.
His mojo
disappeared.
Flew away with the wind. Because I thought, of all the guys that were there, Adam Scott had the most pedigree to win this thing.
Yeah, and he was hitting it good. And then I was watching Hatton play a lot, and he just had bad break after bad break.
Yeah, he couldn't buy break.
He couldn't get his driver into play. Right, it was in those thick shots and roughs and. It was down there, right? Now, the controversy, right? I want to talk about the controversy on the non-relief.
Yeah.
Was it Burns? No,
it was Burns that was looking for relief because his ball was basically sitting in a puddle.
Well, you saw when it landed, they showed in telecast, it went plunk and the water popped, right?
Yeah.
And so he's over there and he's taking practice swings and the water's flying.
Yeah.
But the USGA official said that he couldn't clear it.
Casual water relief, yeah.
So what's your take? You kind of think it was ridiculous. He should have got it.
He should have got it.
Yeah.
You look at the way the rule reads.
Yeah.
The USGA wrote the rules.
Yeah.
They ought to know them. It reads in there. If you stand there and you can bring up water with your feet,
but then you're in
casual water.
Well, here's the thing, because the second official that came back, if you watch the clip, he told him there's no water under your feet. Like when he was taking his setup, and again, you're not supposed to take your setup and mush your feet. You're supposed to do what you would do
normal stance and everything.
When he took his normal stance, water did not come up. And the guy, I heard it in the clip. He says, "There's no water moving. You have to play it." So the first guy,
even though the ball was technically in a puddle, so to speak.
Again, we saw the water fly, right? And so again, for him mentally, right? One, it's this is wet, it's bad. My whole golf career, we would have always taken relief from this at every level, right? pretty much. My opponent would have said yes, the rules official, but today no. And then he misses a little bit, right? Just pulls it, gets in trouble, then misses, right? It makes double, right?
Yeah, gets a little bit of water between the club.
Oh my gosh, that's so mentally challenging because in his brain he's like that official because he was tied for the lead.
Yeah.
And the official cost me, right? By not getting a ruling. So I feel bad for him. I think that's going to get scrutinized a little more. I think we're going to hear a lot more about that one because the point of the rule, the integrity of the rule was a player shouldn't be penalized in the fairway if there's casual water. Well, that water was casual.
Yeah. It's bad enough you got to play out of the divot. But to have to play
out of water. That was brutal. Is there anybody you liked that you thought, besides Adam, anybody else? Because, there was no names on the board. There was.
No big. Well, Victor Hovland was good for a while.
Yeah, he was right there.
Ben Griffin played well.
Ben Griffin,
played pretty well. Kept waiting for. He never got on his hot streak like we've seen him.
And it's kind of hard when you miss one fairway and you're looking
it's
at.
Tough, yeah.
Can't read.
You miss one fairway.
It wasn't like there were short holes,
Bogey or double bogey.
Yeah.
You talked about what that shot did to Burns.
Yep.
Mentally. Well, you could tell how mentally a lot of these guys were just messed with in this event when you had Shane Lowry hits his ball in the green, walks up on the green, and picks his ball up and starts to clean it and looks at it, and he realizes he never marked it.
On the ground.
On the green. Yeah.
He picked it up.
Lowry picked it up and got out here and looked down at the ground and was like, I didn't mark it. And he looks at his caddy. His caddy's just shaking his head and laughing like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
So it was one shot or two shots?
I think that's a one-shot penalty. So he had to place it back as best he could where it was.
I didn't pick up on that one. I think is that one or two?
I don't know. Maybe it is two.
I think it's two.
Because I know Phil had a two-shot penalty for hitting a moving ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And that's one of those rules he doesn't come up for. We'll look it up. Let us know in the comments if you guys know what the rule is. And Coach Bento needs to look that one up.
We're used to playing, with
well, I coach
events with officials.
I would if I didn't know if I remember, I just look it up now because it's so hard to remember every single rule, right?
Yeah.
And things have changed a little bit, not a ton, but there's still some. But that's just like total bonehead, right? Yeah. Like mental.
Yeah, you're so drained. You're up there. You're like, okay, I'm finally on the green. And
how many times in his life has he ever picked up a ball without marking it? That's got to be some mental stress.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the U.S. Open will do that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
the coverage was good. I didn't mind the commentary at all. Yeah. It looked like it was beautiful. It looked beautiful.
Compared to Erin Hills a few weeks ago where the women played, this was like watching golf in Ireland versus watching golf in the middle of the desert with no grass.
Yeah, very different looking. You know what? I've never been to Oakmont. I'm sure it's wonderful, but when they show those pictures and it's all spread out and you don't see any trees, it's just kind of barren to me.
They've torn down 15,000 trees on that golf.
Because it used to be loaded, right?
The original design was like a link style golf course, and trees grow in, and as trees grow, they make more trees. And back in the mid 90s, they decided they were going to try to make the course look more like the links style that it was originally designed to be. And by the time they got done in
15,000 trees,
they tore out they took out about 15,000 trees. They said,
"Oh my goodness,
that's a lot of trees
to make it look like that, right?"
Yeah, there's not a tree on the whole place. It seems.
Yeah, there's a few on the holes, but very little. And I was like, okay, so I guess the rough, but I don't know. I think
they did have made the rough grow.
Yeah, maybe, but it was still. I still enjoyed it. It was fun. Everybody's been talking about it. All the lessons I taught today, everybody was talking and asking about questions about it. And for the players that I coach, the younger guys too, I keep trying to tell them how important it is to be mentally prepared. And we talk about there's a couple things in golf, right? As a coach, right? So I can't control a player's talent, their talent.
Yeah.
And I can't control.
They have a certain amount of it.
Talents, it can be a lot of different talents, right? It could be eye-hand coordination, it could be raw speed, it could be flexibility, and there's all kinds of different forms of talent. But no one controls that but the player, right? Whatever you got is what you got. And then as a coach, I can't control bad luck, right? Bad break, whatever.
It's part of the game. It's the rub of the green.
Right. But we can control, how we swing, how we prepare, what we do. And you keep hearing this same story over and over again, especially this year, that perseverance counts.
Yeah.
And sticking to your game plan and working hard and not giving up. And even when you make 5 bogeys on the front 9, you never know if you can turn that thing around and make, shoot 32 in the back and win a U.S. Open. Yeah. And set yourself up for life, right?
Roll in a 62-foot putt on the last hole.
No.
That was
so okay. So let's talk about that, right? So you got to give that's lucky.
Yeah,
and there's
a little bit. Yeah,
couple of lucks there. Yeah. One, how does Hovland miss exactly on the same line, 1 foot away?
I don't know
the size of that whole green, but think about that. Yeah. That's a break or luck, right?
Yeah,
because all day long. That putt, because a lot of guys had that angle.
Yeah,
they were missing it low because they were under-reading or they're over-reading. No, they're under-reading
the break. Yeah.
Yep, and it was coming up a little short. But what's the kid from Ireland, McIntyre?
Yeah,
I mean
he came in second.
Yeah, I mean he had that putt exactly, pretty close, right? Yeah. And he made a good one, but he played great too. He's a good player.
Yeah.
But to have
and he had to like his spot sitting in the clubhouse.
Oh, he was smiling. He was
He probably was like, man, I could just sit here and win this thing without making another move.
And you said that would have been a bad way to crown a champion, right? Like everybody falls apart because of the course, and then somebody who's
he played well enough to have get into.
Yeah, he did. He played great.
It wouldn't have been the same. But I liked it better the way Spaun won it with
the putt. Yeah,
with 4 birdies in the last 6 holes. Yeah,
and we talk a lot about with our training players that you sooner or later, if you're going to win something big, you're going to birdie the last couple holes. Like you gotta. Like the story's not changed. Down the stretch, it's wire to wire. There's somebody that's going to step up.
Yeah,
and again, the drive on 17, amazing, right? Yeah. 2 putt. Had a legitimate shot for eagle on that putt.
It
was like 12 feet or 14 feet. Yeah, it was right there. And then the break. I think the big break was that Hovland had to putt in front of Spaun, and Spaun was able to pick up on that line and obviously made a great putt. But the reaction of that, when they kind of drifted left, they're watching it, and when you're watching it from the telecast from like the tower. It doesn't give it justice on how much break because they showed the replay from the back, like watching it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was going like up like that, and it was like boom, breaking, and they were watching the break line, and then it hit. They kind of jumped on each other and gave each other big hugs, and he threw his putter on the ground, and I think it was that was a Lab putter. It was that
was one of the Lab putters.
Has Lab won a major before?
That's their first. This was their first.
Yeah, I was going to say that because the putter's so different in look, right?
That's that new.
I don't think it was a new one. I think it was the one that kind of looks. I don't know the brand.
Well, I mean, the new idea now is the zero
MOI
zero.
Whatever it is. Yeah,
it doesn't.
But the shape I recognize, right? Yeah. I know what the shape is because you see it. But
it looks like a Greek symbol.
It does. It looks like a Greek symbol, right? But I mean, I knew what it was, but for them, that's huge, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people are using that putter, but until it starts breaking through majors. One more thing I wanted to talk about, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know if this is true or not because I didn't look the whole leaderboard depth, but so Hatton was the only live player in contention.
Koepka, where did Koepka? Bruce was hanging around. He never really threatened, but he was kind of stayed about 4 or 5 shots off the lead all week long. I think Brooks Koepka finished at +6, I believe. But he never really made. He had a real good Thursday.
Right. Did you hear the story about Koepka on Monday? Did you hear the story?
No, I did not.
So the story goes is Koepka's coach is now Pete Cowan. Okay. And Pete Cowan's got like 8 or 9 guys in the Open. So each player only gets X amount of time, right? Because he's kind of busy. Man. So supposedly on Monday, this is what the media was covering. I'm only giving you my perspective here.
2 cents.
Yeah. So Koepka and Cowan are in a bunker working. And and Cowan's mad, and he's basically scolding him, like just going at, like telling him you're doing it, blah blah blah. It was so bad, according to some of the articles, that Justin Thomas said he came over to check on him emotionally because he felt like he was chewing him out so hard. Now I don't know if that's like again, this is people telling stuff, but I was thinking, Wow. So 5-time major winner, right? Working on some stuff with a really good coach that really at his age and level probably doesn't take like people not doing what he asks very well.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of one of those like you don't want to listen, go. Like why am I here?
Yeah.
And
wow.
Anyway, so I really wanted to know, but Brooks didn't say. He just said that was between me and my coach, and it was pretty tough to hear, but I needed to hear it, and it did help me get motivated. But that's another point we talk about in our little like show here. But you know, sometimes it's really hard for those talented guys to get fired up to do things.
Yeah.
And you know, again,
they need a challenge.
I still say, and this is the point I'm trying to make is I think the live has not helped those guys for majors. I really don't. I think it's too short. I think it's too relaxed. I think they don't get under the grind anymore. I think that it's kind of like when you got all that upfront money, you're not as hungry, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing it because where were they? Yeah. Where were the best players from that tour? They weren't there, right?
Well, John Rahm had a pretty good week.
Yeah, John. I'm not saying that. I'm just surprised that down the stretch that you didn't see those.
One or two of them to be in that top 3 or 4.
I mean,
kind of fighting it out.
Well, yeah, they're top players in the world. Where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they? You know, again, but Scheffler wasn't there. McIlroy's not there. He had a terrible.
Scheffler on Saturday missed so many short putts,
which is very unusual for him, right?
And that was it was driving him nuts. You could tell it was just after a while it got in his head, and he just
mentally shut it down. I don't think he mentally. He just got to the point where it's like diabolical.
I'm not gonna make anything today.
Yeah, I gotta. And again, that's tournament golf's like that. Sometimes you just don't have it, and you got to move on. So that was exciting. I thought that was really good. Just a couple of updates for our local market. Summer's in full swing. I had my first summer camp last week. We had a great time. Kids had a blast. I only do camps for like small group. Like I don't run these big volume camps with a lot of players. I don't believe in it. I think ours are fun, but you're not going to teach, and I don't particularly care for that kind of camp.
Yeah.
Where you got 30 kids and 4 helpers and you're just running around all day. I've never enjoyed it, but we had some good swing. I even had one kid in my camp, new player, and I have this like AI app thing I use.
Okay.
And he scored a 9.8 on his swing after 3 days, which I've never seen. But this kid's got lots of talent. It's like sometimes, again, not to, other kids, some kids started with 0s and then they worked into 3s and 5s at the end of the 3 days. But this kid, I got a good one. And so it's always exciting when you see that kind of like just raw, natural, hit the ball. And, his swing was really good. And again, he's young, he's 10 years old, I think, or 11. But man, and he was talking about he's the quarterback on his team. He does this and he's that. I'm like, hey, you might want to think about playing golf, man.
He's that athlete. He's got all that.
But I see like football's tough. If you're not going to be 6'3" or 4, and you're not like the fastest kid in the world, it's really tough to like keep going, right?
But it's a short career.
Very short. Golf can be 40 years, 50 years. You can play golf, right? You can play golf till your 60s. So anyway, so camps have gone well. Weather's been warm. Our course got airified, but it's coming back. So if you haven't had a chance or interested in working on your game, make sure to check out shootparnow.com, and you can sign up for our newsletter. You can get some couple free videos from me. So there's always stuff going on. But yeah, we're having a good month, good June, and I'm excited for the rest of summer, getting ready for high school season in August. You got anything else that popped up on your radar in the last couple of days for golf? Kind of slow. Yeah, no charity tournaments, nothing going on.
No, didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
so, no.
I don't have anything going on. I'm just doing camps and coaching in my center. It's been really busy in here, so I actually had to open up an extra day.
Nice.
It's
a good problem to have.
Yeah, sometimes, but summertime you kind of want to take a little more time off. But I can't turn people away, so I'm glad to help them.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's going to be our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it and our commentary about the Open. I know James, the Open for him is kind of love-hate, but I kind of felt like it was, like you said, it's a lot better when a player wins it. Yeah. And congratulations to JJ Spaun. It was a really, really good event. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.